What to do when you are depressed. This is the Ask Jake Show. You ask questions about law of attraction, life, and mindset. I answer them. Let's dive right into this, and please share this video with somebody you know that might be having a difficult time in life. Number one, ask yourself and discover if it's situational depression. Situational depression is something that it doesn't matter who you are and how happy your life usually is or was for an extended period of time. Situational depression is when you're in a situation that you don't want to be in and that isn't fulfilling you for an extended period of time, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, or 10 years, that causes you to constantly feel a sense of depression. Now, it's important to note when somebody says something about situational depression that the reason that it causes depression quite often is because what happens is your brain wires in certain ways. So let's say you were in a marriage that was it was the most stressful, awful thing ever, and you were in it for 10 years. Or you were in a job you absolutely hated, you were demeaned, you were underpaid, it was awful. You were living somewhere where it was so depressing to live there that it was hard to wake up in the morning. Any of those types of situations. What happens is, every time you have a thought or you receive stimuli from the outside environment in terms of the stress of this relationship that's just it's impossible to even bear anymore for either sides, being in a job that's just it's like torture showing up there every day. What happens is, either by your own thoughts or by the stimuli you're receiving from the environment, what you do is you fire brain cells that are sending electrical currents. Those electrical currents, what they're actually doing is when the brain cells fire, they wire together. It's a term in neuroscience called Hebb's law, which quite simply states that brain cells that fire together wire together. So what that means is your brain, the neurocircuitry of your brain, the way that your brain is conditioned to fire, which ultimately will control how you feel, your emotional and well-being states, your moods, etc., that gets wired in a habitual pattern. Now, situational depression can turn into depression for somebody's entire life because the brain wires in a certain way. And what can happen is you start to believe that it's just who you are for your entire life. And what happens is we can forget that it might be a situation that we've dealt with for far too long that's actually caused our brain chemistry to wire in a way where it's not producing the level of feel-good chemicals and joy and excitement that we wish we had out of life. And so it's important to be able to identify, is this situational depression? Because what happens is most people stay in circumstances that are causing extreme bouts of depression for their whole lives. And quite often, a change of scenery, although extremely difficult, a change in job, although extremely difficult, a breakup of a marriage or a relationship, although extremely difficult for 6 months, 2 years, 4 years, over the long standing of our life, over the next 10, 20, 30 years, can actually be the very thing that catapults us to a new level of joy and fulfillment out of life. And so the first step is this situational depression from my everyday experiences that are causing this to happen because my brain is wiring in this way and I'm not getting the fulfillment out of my life because of where I'm at? And if that's so, get support from friends or family. Look at journaling, look at meditating. All being so, to identify what is a plan or a way you can leave that relationship, that job, that city that you live in, that X, that Y, that Z, or whatever it might be out of life. What is a long-standing plan to exit it? Because unless we can, if it's situational depression, unless we can leave that situation, you're not in a position to ever change the brain chemistry. So the question is this my situation, and what can I do about it to either uplift the situation or transform and change the situation entirely by leaving it behind and stepping into a new reality, although scary and uncomfortable. And that's why the support of friends and family is so important in a time like that. Number 2, do not beat yourself up. The tendency is when we're having depression for a month, for a year, for 5 years, for 8 years, our tendency is to say, why are you such an idiot? Why are you so unhappy? You know, you've got this thing going for you, you got this thing going for you. Look, I mean, there's all those kids in Africa that don't even have clean water, and here you are, you're getting paid to go to work, you've got friends, you've got family, you're healthy. What's wrong with you? You're such an idiot. And what we need to do is stop beating ourselves up so much. So much of our extended depression is exemplified and expanded when instead of just being able to be kind to ourselves, we're actually become our own worst enemy. And it's okay to feel depressed. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to feel stressed, to feel a constant sense of anxiety, or to feel like you're not good enough or smart enough. There's nothing wrong with that. The trouble comes when we think there's something wrong with it, therefore we beat ourselves up about feeling like that. Practice kindness to yourself and ask yourself this question: how can I be kind to myself today? How can I love myself today? Is it going on a walk on the beach? Is it going on a hike? Is it spending a little bit of money to get yourself a massage? Is it calling a friend and saying, hey, I'm having a really, really rough year, and I was just wondering if you've got Sunday afternoon to go on a hike or something? What can you do that's kind or loving to yourself? Because one of the first steps that is in our control is to change the relationship we have with ourselves. And our tendency is to set ourselves up to such a high standard, and when we don't meet it, we beat ourselves up about it. Practice kindness to yourself today. Pick and choose a way you can be kind today and tomorrow and act on it. Number 3, allow yourself to feel your emotions. Allow yourself to feel your emotions. Going on, the last point is when we feel depressed or sad or anxious, we feel like we shouldn't feel like that, and so we don't allow ourselves to feel our emotions. Or we find ways to distract ourselves or beat ourselves up. Distract ourselves with technology, with being busy for no reason, constantly over cleaning or over running around town doing stuff because we don't sit with our feelings. And what I invite you to do is to just sit here right now. Sit here and feel the feeling of being depressed or being stressed or feeling unhappy or unfulfilled or like you're not good enough. Don't run from it. Feel it. What happens is the more you run from an emotion, the more it controls you. Sit and feel the emotion. Close your eyes and connect to the emotion. Feel what you feel like in your body, because the more you run from those feelings, the more they will control you. It's okay to feel your emotions. It's okay to have feelings. In fact, it's the key for us to ever be able to be in a position to transcend those feelings someday. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing that makes you abnormal. This is totally normal. Feel your emotions. Feel what it feels like in your body, and allow that feeling to be something that will help you understand yourself better and to understand your situation in life better. Number 4, get your thoughts out of your head and onto a journal. What happens is we cause ourselves so much stress and anxiety in our head because often when we're in a period of depression, what happens is that there's so many thoughts racing through our head that it's overwhelming. And the result of that feeling is we can move to a drug, to an alcohol, to addicted to busyness, addicted to work, addicted to seeking validation from other people, as a means to distract ourselves and get ourselves outside of our own head, because when we're alone with ourselves, our thoughts are too much to even bear. And what I invite you to do is quite simply start journaling. Just quite simply start putting your thoughts on your head. Ask yourself, how do I feel? Write it down. Ask yourself, what am I thinking? Write it down. Just try to take 10 minutes a day and get your thoughts out of your head, because when you can put them on paper, they have less control over your mind. This is a very simple exercise that gives me emotional freedom, that gives me mental freedom, and it's something that I invite you to consider. This is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com. Comment your questions down below. I answer them on the Ask Jake show, and we save them all, so comment them down below about life, success, law of attraction, and mindset. Be sure that you download my free success hypnosis down below, jakeshypnosis.com. A lot of the negative, confusing thoughts are subconscious thoughts. We have 65,000 thoughts in a day, 95% of them are subconscious. Download my success hypnosis down below to train your subconscious mind for success and abundance. Also, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. If you already subscribed, hit the bell notification. That notifies you for new videos. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for watching. See you next time.